Hey everybody. Today we're going to talk about building a narrative for our surety. This also works for a bank. We want to go through and give you examples of what you could include, and I'm actually going to go through the Word document that's in the downloads right down there over to the right. And we've got an example, some example language, and then we also have one that we would have sent to someone. So it's not a real life example, but it could be. It could have actually happened. Let's walk through some of the basic points and also what we've written in here and how it's formatted so you know what to take out. So the first thing to note is if it's got brackets, I'm just going to highlight as we go through. If it's got brackets, that means that it's an example. You may have something different than that, but it would be an example of items that you could include in that section. You'll want to delete anything that you don't use. If it's in parentheses, those are just helpful hints. Again, you're going to delete those. Those are just to help you as you fill out your own. And then if you see the XXX, that means you're inputting your story there or your date there. That's something for you to input, and you would then remove your X. So let's give you an example here in the brackets. You're going to fill this in. You're going to have your company name and XXX for your month. So that's just a simple example. And then here, just to call out, I've got parentheses. So you're going to include your financial statements. What does that mean? That most typically means a balance sheet and income statement and your work in progress schedule that all tie out to each other. I'm just going to take a minute and say this because this is even a lesson for me. It happens to all of us. You want to triple check to make sure that your cost in excess of billings and your billings in excess of costs, which will be known as contract assets and contract liabilities, after the 606, you want to make sure that those tie to your balance sheet. And when I say I triple check them, I triple check it. I make sure that those numbers tie. You also want to make sure that your balance sheet is in balance and that your income, if it's net income, if it's separately called out on your balance sheet, matches. In some softwares, it will accumulate that number, so it may not tie, and you may just want to address it or make sure everybody understands. There are I don't know, several other videos, probably 4 or 5 other videos about surety bonding ratios. So if you want more, just go up into the search bar, you type in surety, type in bonding, and it'll pull up all the other videos and resources on this topic of surety. Okay, now I'm moving on. Okay, keep going down here. We're using the sandwich method. So a lot of you know the sandwich method, which means you put 2 good things on the outside and put the bad stuff in the middle. And we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to start with, we've had some positive things. Everybody has had positive things in their company, even if the year was not awesome. There were still some really great things that happened in the company, and you want to highlight that first. And I'm going to give examples of some things that you might want to focus on, and additionally things that you don't want to focus on. So focus on anything that relates to profit. Don't focus on revenue. This is something that's so easy, but whenever we focus on revenue, sometimes they actually get nervous. We think, oh, we're growing, we're doing great. If you are a surety or a banker, that actually may not be what you want to hear. You want to hear how they're growing their profit. They're growing their bottom line. They're making good business decisions. If you're just growing top line, that may not translate to anything else. So I would tell you to not focus on revenue, except for one item I'll get to in a minute. Focus on profit. Focus on systems. Focus on processes. Anything that is showing that we're really focusing on cash retention, profit, and building a better business. I said there was a caveat to that. There's one. If you are growing revenue and it is from repeat business from the same clients, that's something to highlight. Everybody likes it whenever we have repeat business. So if you've got a heavy service department, if the work that you're doing is with the same customer over and over, if you're in even the same industry over and over, those can be things that are really good for your business. They lend to consistent profit. So you can talk about those, but you're looking for things that are consistent and repeatable. I've got a few more here. You don't have to pick all of them. And in our example, I think we just pick a couple. But the point of this is just to tell them what you've done well this year, what you're going to keep doing, and really focus on that profit and those processes. My friend Mike says profit, processes, and people. So the 3 Ps. So focus on those good things not on just top line growth. Next section, we're going to talk about the problem. Everyone has a problem. You're not alone in having a problem. So you've got a problem. Sometimes your problem's on the financial statements, sometimes your problem's with processes, whatever it is. If you feel like you need to talk about the problem, here's your space. Let me give you some examples. We had some poor staffing choices. We had the job that didn't go well. We had financial data that wasn't in good shape. I mentioned this in the earlier video, but then what did you do to fix it? But now we have this new thing. But now we're tracking this every week. You want to talk about what happened and then what you did to correct it. Don't just do the front part, not the back part. The storyline is we acknowledge that this was not awesome and we did things to make it better. If you aren't hitting the numbers they want, if you don't have the working capital, the equity, the debt to equity that your surety is really wanting, this is the area where you can address it. Yeah, we don't have working capital because we had that loss, but we are now implementing a system of oversight. What is that? So I'm giving just kind of an overview of ideas of things you could talk about. This is not an exhaustive list. It's meant to spur your creative juices to see what do you want to tell them. Okay, so now we're into the back end of the sandwich, which again is this forward-looking, everything's good, what are we doing that is really making a difference in our financial future? All of this stuff is all about how it looks on the financials. So we have retained profit, we're growing profits, we're making good business decisions. This is your opportunity to talk about the financial statements of it. So do we have financial goals that you're tracking? And I've got some examples. Again, focusing on profit and building value, don't focus on revenue growth. We're maintaining a gross profit of a certain percentage. We want to make sure that we have a minimum backlog of 3 months of revenue at a certain percentage. You can see where we're talking about some really specific financial goals. What are you doing in your organization that has made a difference? It may be because of whatever problem we talked about up here, or it could just be because it was time. But whatever it is, you want to make sure that you fully address the financial side of your business. What's happening? What's the story? And what are you tracking? Maybe you're tracking collections because that was something that you needed to work on and that you noticed a big difference. So whatever it is, that's the section for it. Then I just give a little thank you. Okay, so on the back end of this is an example for an ABC company. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it. I won't make you listen to that over a video, but I want to show you that same plan, which is, we've got some positive stuff. We had some whoopsie stuff, and then we're talking about our financial goals. So I just gave some examples of what we could be tracking. You can see this is relatively short. It could be included as a separate document or just straight in the email copy whenever you're attaching your financial statements. Let me tell you, this has been the one thing that has changed, other than like a beautiful set of financial statements, right? But this is the one thing that has really changed for our clients is when we put together this narrative. Our outside partners, our sureties, our bankers, our insurance agents go from feeling like they have little information and they can't tell our story to feeling like they're part of our organization and that they're a partner. We want them to be partners for us. And this is one way to help that partnership, give them the understanding of what's going on in your organization and then also all the great things that are happening. So don't be afraid to talk about things that aren't as awesome as you'd like. Just make sure that you mitigate it and make that sandwich on your narrative because everybody's happy. Everybody's like, oh man, they're sharing their story with us. We can see that they're moving in the right direction. And they also have proof in their file. They can hold it up and say, yeah, maybe that last year wasn't what they wanted, but look at the strides they're making this year. If you work on your narrative and you realize I got a little hitch in my step or you want some help, just send me or Shane an email and let us know, and we'll be happy to help you. Just type together what you have and put together your financial package. And if you want us to look at it, just send it over. Okay. Good job, everybody. You're doing great. And this surety relationship is a great part of your business. Let's nurture it. Talk to you soon.